What up?
Yo, what's happening with you?
What good with you, Doc? How you feeling, man?
Man, I'm feeling awfully good, man. The day has finally come.
It's here, brother.
The day has finally
Yeah.
come. Round
Yes, sir.
three. Round three.
Yeah.
So everybody who is tapping in, we are and let's go ahead and join in on the other platform, Jeff.
All right.
Go ahead and
Wait a minute. It just said. All right. I think I'm in.
are you in?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay,
Yeah,
let me come in myself. Welcome to everybody. Welcome to Religiously. All right, let me unmute myself. Awesome.
Cool.
Welcome to Religiously Incorrect podcast. Welcome everybody watching on Facebook, YouTube, and now our new platform, Jeff, Clubhouse.
Clubhouse. We're on the Clubhouse, baby.
We want everybody to like and to share and to make sure you push the word. Let us know that you are out here. Can you hear me, Jeff?
I can hear you, Doc. I ain't never been on this many platforms since
Bruh.
since I was playing high school football in high school.
Right.
So I'm kind of nervous.
Man, listen, we are making it happen today. Welcome to Religiously Incorrect for Sunday. What is it? January 10th, 2021. This is our special time because everybody knows what's going on. If you live in or near the state of Ohio or Pennsylvania, you already know what's going on.
You got the wings on, the spaghetti ready.
That's it, man. That's it.
You ready to go. You 8:15 can't get here fast enough for you. But until then, we're here to satisfy your taste buds until 8:15.
Exactly. Everybody who is joining us on Facebook, YouTube, we're going to start off by shouting out our sponsor. Our sponsor is Phillips Care. Now, y'all know we're going big time, man. We're going big time. We got the sponsorships happening. If you want to be a sponsor of Religiously Incorrect podcast, you could do it. Our sponsors, Phillips Care. We're starting with Phillips Care Cleaning. These are two Black brothers that are doing it when it comes to the entrepreneurship. Phillips Care Cleaning cleans your residential and commercial buildings. They also do landscaping and snow removal, from cleaning your house or business from top to bottom, even the carpet. We take care of the mess that causes you stress. So like the Facebook page at Phillips Care LLC, go to the website at phillipscarellc.com or call my man, my former classmate, and my brother Fernando at 330-219-7916. Once again, Phillips Care Cleaning, and I'm just throwing in there. They do the landscaping, they do the snow removal, and all that kind of stuff. They clean out houses, the trash, the garages, all that jazz. And check out Phillips Care. They're doing that daggone thing, man. They're doing a daggone thing. Like, share, invite people on Clubhouse, on YouTube, on Facebook. First of all, we'll get this out the way. I'm Team Steelers. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, you can just see where I'm at.
We already know. I'm not wearing mine because I hang my jerseys up. I got the Le'Veon Bell.
The Le'Veon
Bell. Well,
you ain't playing.
Well, I mean, that's the last time I bought her. That's the last time I actually bought a jersey. I know you got that new Mayfield joint.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Jeff, you got one of them. You got one of those jerseys that they used to have with like all 25 coach QBs y'all had in the last 15 years.
Nah.
They had like scratch out every name all the way down the side of the jersey.
Yeah. We need one, but I think we got the real deal now. He coming into his own. It took him a couple years, but he ready to go. He ready. He done led us to our first playoff position, and he ready to go. I think we ready. Even though they won't let our coach be in a skybox, but Oh
yeah, man. Well, we got to keep that COVID in Cleveland where it belongs, man, and keep it out of Pittsburgh. So that's what we're trying to do. If you're following us on Clubhouse, thank you for joining us. If you want to comment or talk back, come on YouTube so you can see our faces, see us talk. We're on YouTube. You can find us at Religiously Incorrect Podcast. Love it if you would subscribe to our page. We'll keep resetting the room and reminding you that you can follow us. But Jeff, we just got to get right into it because the game starts in about an hour. We're going to jump into this. I see Emmett on there. How you doing, Elder Emmett? Good to see you.
Yes, sir.
Listen. Our country is in chaos, bro.
Man, it's trying to burn itself down, man. They are trying to burn it down.
Everything we thought it was gonna be. I mean, this is beyond Watts riots. This is beyond LA. This is beyond Black Lives Matter protests, George Floyd, running through targets. Bruh, I mean, what do you make? Let's just start with Wednesday, man. What do you make of what we saw on Wednesday?
I'm gonna be very honest, man. First of all, I was angry.
Okay.
I was angry. I was angry at a couple of reasons. I was angry, obviously, first and foremost, because I don't think it was handled in a way it should have been handled. I don't think that, once again, and we all have said it, and I know it doesn't matter to me. I ain't scared of nothing. I don't think if it was our color, our skin, if it was brown skinned people, it would have been handled the same way. I was angry at that fact. I was angry at that fact. But then I was angry because I saw all the jokes. And I don't think this was a laughing matter. And I think there's a lot of things to make jokes at and a lot of things to, have, little Facebook memes and stuff about. But, when you're talking about lives and talking about, storming our Capitol,
right.
Just as a patriot, as a former Navy Seabee, as as somebody who respects the land that I live in, as somebody who was willing to fight and die for this country, and to have this, I ain't even gonna call him a gentleman, but this dude, this arrogant person, walk through our Capitol with a Confederate flag. Man. I mean, seriously, I was ready to take up arms, man. You know what I mean? I was ready to take up arms. And
you're ready to make it happen. So what if that happens? I mean, what do you do? It just creates a bigger situation. I mean, because it's basically now countrymen against countrymen. But how about this, Jeff? I mean, I understand from the Patriot side. I'll be honest. I never served, and I honestly do not have that love of country. I question whether I should even love a country, period.
I feel you.
That's a whole different conversation. Should we even have love of a country? I live here and respect the laws of this country and honor the brave soldiers, those who you have served, perhaps in peacetime, those who have gone overseas to war, those who have lost their lives. And I honor the ideals that we supposedly are built under. But I don't love, and I think there is the jokes. I think some of it, especially from the Black side, is basically like serves you right. Serves you right. This is what we've been saying. When people have been hurt, traumatized, abused, sometimes there is a sick satisfaction in seeing that abuse and that hurt inflicted back on the person or entity that gave it to them. It's like a whole Tyler Perry movie, you know what I'm saying? It's like Tyler Perry's movie. There's just a sick satisfaction in seeing this. I'm not saying it's right. It's certainly not the godly response. That's why this is called Religiously Incorrect, because we're not here to talk about the godly response. We know we are to pray for our country, and we do. We know we are to pray for peace, and we do. I think the issue is, what are people feeling? What are we observing? Even in the jokes and the smart aleck comments, we're seeing people saying, not different than what Malcolm X said when John F. Kennedy was murdered. These are your chickens coming home to roost, and we gonna dance around the fire while y'all burn. And so, like you, I'm somewhat conflicted because it's not a laughing matter. And perhaps, to take it a step deeper, making it a laughing matter only lessens the impact of it and emboldens the individuals who were doing it, so that, hey, if enough memes, enough jokes go off, then we can slip in the back door while y'all still making memes on your phones.
Absolutely.
And I just listened to a podcast. A lot of these folks still in DC. They're still there.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, because first of all, they weren't arrested when they should have been. That's the first problem. Second problem is enough force wasn't shown. I mean, if they'd had the water hoses and the dogs out, maybe they wouldn't have came back. But the fact of the matter, the fact of the matter is they were escorted, sometimes hand in hand, walk basically back to their little hotels and their little lovely lives just to regroup and come back for another back. I mean, it's almost like the Browns Steelers. Y'all basically let the Browns win last week. Only to go back and get prepared for this battle this week.
So you're saying the Capitol Police put all their backups in for the Unite the Right. The Capitol Police took Ben out and put Mason Rudolph in and made JJ Watt sit. They made JJ Watt sit.
Now here's one thing that I did hear about that, because I know a lot of blame was put on the Capitol Police. A lot of people were talking about how bad they were, but one guy said, I kind of agree with them to a certain extent, that the Capitol Police are trained and ready for riots. The problem is most of the riots they had to been trained for, people left peacefully. They never had the backlash of, I'm not stopping. I'm going to keep on coming. I don't care if you pull out a gun. These people are radical to a level that they've never seen. And so, I mean, but once again, if it was us, I think.
Well, you're speaking to, let's be honest, there is a white supremacy color-wise, but there's also a right supremacy when it comes to partisanship, meaning white people are supreme in their own way and express the supremacy. And those on the right side also operate in an extremity form of interaction that always goes beyond. Listen, they like, y'all want to tear up a Target and a CVS? All right, we're going to take over the Capitol.
Right. A whole lot different.
It's a whole lot different. And by the way, and there is a white privilege and a right privilege, because the right, almost exclusively white, almost, except for one or two idiots, get the privilege and the benefit of the doubt. I wanted to think about Capitol Police. Number one, there are conflicting stories about whether or not support was denied between the police and the National Guard and federal government. So that's a conflict, because some people are saying, well, we requested several times and they wouldn't come. Some others are saying they refused help and said they didn't need it. And then there was a really in-depth podcast. I think it was New York Times I was listening to, The Daily. I listen to daily, just like a news story every day. They were saying that because of the riots, because of the Black Lives Matter riots, and how the federal government exploited federal forces to get Trump's way, and there was all that fallout and criticism, there was this breakdown in communication and basically this pissy relationship between the Capitol or the DC police and the federal and National Guard. Like, there was not the same communication. Like, don't call us to put us out there like that and make our soldiers blame, because the last time Trump called us out there to take that picture and tear gas those people and arrest these people, all that was thrown back at us. So, I read that there was a breakdown between government forces, and we all know what happens when there's a breakdown in communication between safety forces. That is a recipe for success. So there's a security side to this, man. A security side, and it goes without saying, but because this is religiously incorrect, Jeff, let's start just spiritually. And I'm not even going to get into church, because trust me, we're about to talk about church response from a obviously left, right, white, black. Just spiritually, what does this say to you? Because here's the phrase, you answer this. People keep saying, this is not who we are. This is not America.
Listen, brother, you said it, and I'm just going to repeat it. This is America. This is what America has been. This is what America is. They may have been under the covers. They may have been in the closet. They may have, but first of all, POTUS, whatever you want to call them, has empowered and embodied these people to make these. He was literally the fuel that ignited this fire. He literally said he would be, he was going to show up with them, which he didn't, but it didn't matter because even when he didn't show up, because he's a coward. That's why he didn't show up, because he's a coward. When he didn't show up, even when his response came, he was basically told them, y'all doing what's right. Keep on doing, keep on fighting. Listen, you cannot put your hand in fire and expect it not to burn. It's
Absolutely.
the purpose of fire. It's the purpose. And he started this fire. And I know that we're throwing out this 25th Amendment, and they're all looking at it. But spiritually, yeah, man, this is America, and we have to do more than just pray. I'm about sick of that response.
Oh yeah, man. Oh yeah, man.
I'm about done. I'm tired of, and I please don't get me wrong. I'm a pastor. I pray. I understand the effectual fervent prayers of the righteous availeth much. I understand all that. But listen, we've prayed, we've done marches, we've been downtown doing little rallies, and the night of the rally, somebody else got shot. So and it's not to say that our prayers aren't working, but I believe
I say the prayers ain't working. Is there not a biblical precedent for prayers not working?
Absolutely it is.
Are there not scriptures that tell us that there are instances where God says y'all can go do what y'all want to do and I won't be with you?
Come on, sir. Come on.
So I think what we are dealing with is there is a reckoning with the spiritual arrogance of America. In the same way, since we love to compare ourselves to Israel so much, in the same way, there was a reckoning with the spiritual arrogance of Israel. Mm-hmm. Israel felt we can move and obey God when we want to. He's always on our side. We always got this ark. We always got his blessing. And they got their tails whipped several times. They had beat the Philistines with David. One time, Philistines turn around and take them down a couple chapters later. They had defeat the Assyrians one time. Then they get stupid and the Assyrians come in. And the funny thing is the arrogance of American spirituality and Christianity is that we can't be defeated no matter how toxic, no matter how off base, no matter how off center we become. We still have God's blessing. And I said something in my Wednesday Bible study is that there is a difference and a distinction, a juxtaposition between righteous rhetoric and wicked reality. And there always has been. Righteous rhetoric. Righteous rhetoric is, this is who we say we are. The wicked reality is, this is what our actions show us to really be. And honestly, righteous rhetoric and the wicked reality is exactly what the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence is. That's why we keep saying this country was founded on God. It wasn't founded on God. It was founded on people who used the name of God as their justification for founding the nation and claiming God's blessing on the nation while they were saying, hey, nigger, go get me an iced tea.
Right. Exactly.
Tell me how much you will listen to my preaching if I was dragging another soul around by the hair, forcing them to lick my boots, and you were walking beside me saying, I don't agree. I'm not sure if I have one, but hey, hey, you're right.
When you used to lick my boot, I got scared for a few minutes.
Yeah, you thought I was about to go somewhere.
I was like, this brother.
No, I preached today, Jeff. I'm still sanctified. But righteous rhetoric is who we say we are. That is. Oh, well, we have God bless America on our coins. We have in God we trust. We have American flags. We have prayers in the Capitol Hill, and we have American flags in the church, and neither of them mean anything because it's just another form of rhetoric. It's symbolism. So the spiritual arrogance that is so apparent. And the funny thing is, we will read about other cultures and other people and see everything wrong, but will not see it with ourselves. Won't.
And we've read this Bible, you and I preach it all the time. When we talk about setting precedents, we have to look at stories such as Ahab being a weak man, Jezebel being a
That's
wicked
it.
woman.
That's
Stop
it.
the rain.
That's
Stop
it.
the 3 years. 3 years. And if we're not weak and wicked at the same time in this whole scenario, I don't know who else is. And the rain, I mean, COVID has stopped the rain. The rain has there's no rain. There's no.
Yeah.
Did I miss something? Okay.
No, you good.
We're good. Okay, I'm just making sure. Okay, yeah. So that's where we're at, man.
I hear you. Weakness and wickedness, and you're absolutely right. Look at the results. Look at the results. Look at the results. If it was anybody else, if this had happened under Democratic president, the Republicans would say, "See, I told you it would lead to this."
Right.
If this happens in other countries, we say, look at what happens when there's no God and people don't serve God the way. We have no problem. One of the funniest articles, that might be slate.com, and they're super liberal. I don't read them all the time, but slate.com is like a news magazine from a liberal slant. Sometimes I think that's the website. They do features about basically news items from America as if we were another country and how differently we talk about it.
Wow.
How differently so basically when Donald Trump was elected, it's like strong man seizes power,
right.
Strong man business tycoon seizes power. But that's not how we write about ourselves. That's not how we talk about ourselves. We are always trying to put this spin, this fluff, this thing on this. And that's a part of the arrogance. That's the spiritual arrogance. And I'm sorry I have to lay blame where it's at. We still, as Black brothers and sisters, still represent just a portion of the population and the Christian spiritual tenor and tone of our country. We do not represent the overriding. When we talk about God bless America, you ain't talking about Baptist God bless America. You ain't talking about ain't God all right bless America. You ain't talking about God bless America. But the God bless America, to shift gears here, Jeff, is that white European conservative Christian, we are God's nation. That's the God bless America. That's the in God we trust. They are the ones who trumpet. You took prayer out of schools, everything went down. If you legalized abortion, you're going against God. If you and they have again set the tenor and tone that have led us to this toxic. So that's where I shift. As I said this morning, when I get off of here sometime tonight, I will post up our clip from Sunday where I make my 7-minute statement about this issue. And where and who and how, Jeff, do we look at the church's role, the American church's role in fueling and enabling this?
I think the American church, like you said, not the Baptist corner store church, but the American church, the white evangelicals have they because most of them are the ones who are voting and
giving and donating
and pushing this guy. They're pushing. They're still. I mean, to this day, even after all this happened, there are a lot of them who still think he's going to be president.
Oh man, absolutely.
Somehow,
praying for miracles. Praying for miracles.
Are you kidding me? You cannot tell me that everything that has happened should not have somehow changed your mind and said, you know what, maybe I was wrong. But once again, arrogance, white supremacy says I can't be wrong. We can't be wrong. We can't have made a mistake. We can't have, we're still calling on the angels from Africa to come help us out. Listen, shut up and sit down, take several seats, and let's move on. I mean,
man.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you, because I'm kind of, what do you feel about the sort of flip-flop that Pence has done?
I mean, he is the political version of a white evangelical. He is he is their guy. To be honest, he's their conduit. He was supposed to be the check. So the flip-flop is just like the church, just like the politicians, just like the Lindsey Grahams, the Ted Cruzes, the Marco Rubios, all of these people, is that he knew what Trump was from the very beginning. And in his arrogance, he thought that he could control it, benefit from it long enough to get what they want for their side, the judges, the policies, the power, the tax breaks, the immigration restrictions, and then somehow lasso this dude that they celebrated as not being a part of their system, which means if he's not even a part of your if he's not even a part of your herd, then that means your lasso won't work. You understand what I'm saying? These are
I got you, Doc. I got you.
who invited a giant bull into their party because the bull, and then they said, well, we're gonna use this rope that we wrangle sheep with to pull this bull down, and that bull dragged all them sheep.
You preaching, Doc. We need the music. We need the organ, Doc.
It is what it is. And again, what type of foolishness, can we take it a step deeper? What type of lack of discernment? Jeff, how many people, let's think about this since we're laying this, that people who have this whiteness, Christian, conservative, evangelical. Jeff, how many white, evangelical, conservative, Christian politicians did they have at their disposal to get behind and support for president besides Trump? How many people did they have? How many people were on that stage when they were figuring out who was going to run against Hillary?
Yeah, it was much.
All of them. And every last one of them, even though I detest many of them for various reasons, have at least some semblance of more self-control and decency and restraint, even if it's out of nothing but fear that they just don't have. You know, I mean, put Dummy Ben Carson up there for all I care. Put Goofy Lindsey Graham or whatever, for all I care. But I wouldn't have liked any of their policies either. But this is who, and you know what they said? It's a perfect example since we're preaching. They saw a power, a worldly power, a wicked power, so they picked one too to match it. They did not trust. They did not trust righteousness and decency from a less popular candidacy that they could get behind somebody. They got behind the guy who had the masses, and mostly before the evangelicals really jumped behind Trump, he just had a bunch of clowns and crazy people, but he had enough to scare them, which means they operate out of fear.
Absolutely.
And then turned around and claimed he was the man of faith.
Not faith at all. He ain't been to church, trying to go to church, upside down Bible having.
He openly said, I have no reason to repent. They asked him, have you ever repented? When did you become a Christian? When did you become a Christian? Well, I just believe in Jesus. Well, what have you repented of? What wrong have you done? I can't think of anything I've ever done wrong.
Which in itself, of itself, if you think of things you ever done wrong,
if you want to take something, if you want to take something from this statement, from this show, I would say my statement would be, without the white evangelical church, there is no Trump. Trump doesn't exist without the white evangelical church.
Well, and I would take it another step further that, when you were talking about these white evangelical churches, and I said this, they keep on talking about this unity, but they're afraid to say they're wrong. They're afraid to come over to this side of the tracks. They're afraid to look at us and even put us on the level that they're at. They're afraid to look at it and say that
we're still inferior to them. We are still inferior to them right now.
Our preaching is below class. It's not what they're saying, because we're not, because we may differ on a few things. We may not look at, and don't get me wrong, because they're very heavy on abortion, very heavy on whatever these things are, but they seem to just forget that they don't care nothing at all about our legal freedoms or our
justice. Nothing.
Racial tension is going on. They have nothing to say. They will not denounce it. They still won't denounce this man who literally told the Proud Boys to stand down and get ready.
Correct. And that's it. And you know what? Here's the thing. Fan made for you, one of our YouTube viewers. Thank you all for subscribing to YouTube and following us. Those of you who might be on Clubhouse, follow and subscribe on YouTube. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. He said, I think most people agree internally there are special privileges for some. They're just afraid to say it openly. And I saw a post this morning on my way to church that said, if you want to know why evangelicals have not spoken out forcefully follow the money. Follow the money. They're big donors. They're key givers. Do not want to hear them and will not tolerate them. And yes, they are beholden to the money because they have not spoken. And yes, somebody else can demand. Let me tell you something, Jeff. If I can tell people that the only way to know Jesus is to come down here and repeat after me, Father, I'm a sinner, I accept you. If I can demand that, if a preacher feels justified in demanding that, then I feel justified in demanding you speak up against evil when your own church and the culture that you have promoted and exploited has created something. And people say, well, you can't tell me what to say and when to say. You do it all the time. You do it all the time. You tell us we better speak out against abortion. You tell us we better stand up for family values. You tell us we better stand up for America first and stand against illegal immigrants. You tell us that all the time. They come to our churches. They send us pamphlets. They ask for donations for, family values, pro-life, this, that, and the other. They are constantly telling us what we ought to say. You know how many lunches and breakfasts we've all been invited to?
Oh my God.
To listen to their agenda?
Well, the whole agenda with Kaepernick. I mean, they tried to kill us over that.
They get ready to tell us we should march for Jesus in 3 months.
Didn't you
get the email? I got the email.
Yes, the march.
I can't wait to go.
They don't want us there, man.
I will have a banner that says the evangelical church must repent. And let me just hone in on that, Pastor Jeff. The evangelical church created this mess by refusing to operate in any sort of balance, by ignoring the Black voices within the kingdom, by treating us as angry, out of control, embittered, and weaponizing God's concept of love and unity to silence prophetic voices calling for repentance.
Well, the only voices that they want I have a dream, Martin Luther King.
Oh yeah, and Negro, if one of them post Martin Luther King this week, if one of them, I chased down 5 that had something to say about love and unity this week, and I said, where's the love and unity with your president? When are you going to condemn your president? When are you going to repent? I hope the whole time. I hope somebody puts up. You know what they should put? You know what quote white people can use now?
Which one?
Riots are the language of the unheard. Listen, up until now, white evangelicals were never, ever going to use that quote. But listen, white evangelicals, if you want to use a Dr. King quote, you can use that one now. You don't have to just say, hate is too much of a burden to bear, or whatever it is you love to say. No, you get to say riots are the language because y'all rioting. And by the way, do not even try to distinguish between the peaceful Christians who just went to pray. Because I heard somebody get on a local pastor's page and say that. We just went to pray. We just went to, we were there praying. And it wasn't like that. Like we didn't see what we saw. And by the way, Jeff, if it was just a few, Jeff, remember, if it was just a few, were it not just a few this summer causing problems? Were it not just a few breaking windows and burning cars?
There was only one girl who was driving her car with the baby in the back seat that they shot out.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the Black Lives Matter. Yeah, but I'm talking about the Black Lives Matter protest. But yeah, it was one girl in mental distress who ran into a barrier and they shot her 5 times. But I'm saying this summer, out of 50,000 people marching down the street, if 35 or 60 of them run through a target, they said, look at the chaos. And now they want us to believe. They want us to accept and promote that, you know what, 5 or 6 people ran into the Capitol and the other 10,000 were just outside calling on Jesus. No, man. No.
It was more than 5 or 6 scaling that wall. Come on, dog.
Bruh, the feet, the blame. And by the way, people are like, this is not a time for blame. Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And
this is absolutely a time for blame. You ever lined your kids up, Jeff, and asked them, who broke the lamp?
Mm-hmm.
Did any of them ever look at you and say, Dad, this is no time for blame right now. We should just come together and try to build a better lamp.
Somebody trying to get out of that whooping.
But, you're not going to escape. And see, that's where, as I said today, the Black prophetic voice, which is willing to speak to the ugliness of our world, needs to be heard. Because they are not going to speak to themselves. There's very few. Ed Stelzer is one. He's getting beat up. Russell Moore is another one. He's getting beat up. If anybody speaks up, and again, I watched a prominent local pastor. I watched two, one black, one white in our own area, and I don't even care who hears this. One black pastor simply made the assertion that black protesters were treated differently than white protesters, and before the end of the next day, he was posting an apology because some white parishioners, because he's in a mostly white ecosystem, were offended. A white pastor condemned the violence looting against the police without even mentioning political party or anything, and he was overrun on his page with people spouting conspiracy theories about an Antifa and all this other stuff. They have lost control of their own people. Again, because they had a chance to get up and say the first week, there is no conspiracy. They had a chance to get up the first week and say the president is not telling the truth, because their voices carry weight. But they have the privilege of silence, Jeff, and that's the problem. While we are trying to pressure them to speak out, they enjoy the privilege of silence. They always have.
I like that, Doc. I'm a priest. The privilege of silence.
And they can say, watch this. They can say, "Oh, I'm being wise. I'm not adding to the noise. I don't want to add to the confusion. So many voices out there. I have to gather my thoughts." You know what? I've been talking to a few friends privately. I used to be one of them few black friends that they used to call every time something would happen. I got a call earlier this year from one who won't say a daggone thing. And he called me after George Floyd privately. And see, it has to be as clear as a knee on a neck for them to say something, and they still stutter and have more to say to me privately. I had a guy I talked to and called, and he told me I was going to say. Never said it. Never said it. And you wonder why there is a division. How can two walk together?
Unless they agree. Huge division. And
so, Jeff, here's my question. Are we right to outright reject what we consider to be an apostate version of faith? A version of faith that misses it so bad, that ignores it. I mean, what would we be asked to do, Jeff, with any other group or person who refuses to repent?
Sit them down.
Cast them away, right?
Cast them away. It is what it is. And I think we are right. And I think we have to set these lines. We have to set these lines. We have to set these barriers. And it's time out for this cookie cutter type, que sera, whatever will be. Let's all get in a circle and, talk about this melting pot. No, we can't talk about, there are lines that have been crossed. Remember we little kids, we put that line and say, you step over this line. Don't cross this line. And it's there. That line is there. And so, and I'm not talking, I know earlier we talked about picking up arms and stuff, but it's to the point where, no, we're not going to allow you to continue to overtalk me or make what I feel less value than, what's really happening. No,
correct.
You need to stand up and you need to say it's wrong. And until you say that, I cannot fellowship with you.
And you know what? There has never been a wrong pointed out in the Bible without the root of the wrong being mentioned.
Absolutely.
If the prophets would say, you're evil because your fathers were evil. The prophets would say, you messed up because you followed the way of that one who worshiped idols. This happened because of this. And they can't just say it's wrong for violence to occur. They can't just say it's wrong for right-wing extremism and conspiracy theories to create riot. They have to say it's wrong and it was wrong of us. We were wrong. See, that's the problem. The few evangelicals who are saying that there is wrong are saying it was wrong, but they refuse to say we were wrong.
We were wrong. Yeah. And who was wrong? But here, and let me take it one step further, please. And I know I'm probably this is religiously incorrect, so I got to say it. I'm even going to take it a step further and say that not just the evangelicals, but those of us.
Listen,
those of us who refuse to say it, who refuse to stay silent, who refuse to, keep their little melancholy peace in their church because they refuse to stand up and stand out and speak up and speak out. Listen, y'all just as wrong.
And people who are valuing attending these churches, claiming, well, I just agree with the gospel and the ministry is kind and well organized, but they hate. And they will use you as their token. They will use you as their example of why they can't be racist, even though they are actually explicitly promoting racist ideals. I'm going to reset the room in our clubhouse room. This is the Religiously Incorrect podcast. We're not taking comments today. If you'd like to comment or leave comment, you can follow us on YouTube. Subscribe to Religiously Incorrect podcast. Thank you for joining us, Melissa, Tatum, Tiffany, Rashad, Janetta, Kat Wade, everybody who's on here, Marlon Reed, Alex Grover, Dion, Amber. Just want to shout out Erica. We want to thank you all so much for joining us on here.
It's all right. It's all right. You're going to come right back. All right. Well, Hip, I can still hear you, but I think it's just on the, you're still just on the Clubhouse. You're still just on the Clubhouse.
I'm here.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll be honest, Jeff. There has always been a breach, and people didn't want to believe it because I believe, again, I'm going to use this phrase again. I believe that love and unity have been weaponized against accountability for enabling racial and prejudice and bias feelings that come from the right. I feel that African American Christians, and to your point, Jeff, let me just finish this point right quick. I'm personally tired, as much as I love my brothers and sisters who attend these churches, and some of them make a choice to attend because they found fellowship and love. You have to know that these people are in some way, whether they intend to or not, and even if they are super sincere about you, they are not super sincere about all of us. And Absolutely. To me, I start seeing it as an act of selfishness to say, well, I found a good place with a couple good white folk, but they ain't never gonna stand up for us. But as long as they like me and I'm comfortable, then they ain't called me the N-word yet. They haven't said anything I agree with, but they
did. They absolutely did. They absolutely did. When they call you the N-word, they called me the N-word.
Yep.
You can't speak. We're what? We are.
And let me speak to the silence part, Jeff, one more time. There's this idea that because you're not seeing a lot of them talking, that they're not talking. And they are. Because many of them will even say, you never saw me aggressively support Trump. If you knew how many text message threads and email chains and private Facebook groups they have, evangelicals are slick. They have hundreds of thousands of connects and contacts that they use. We've been a part of some of them prayer groups, Jeff. We've been a part of some of them text message groups where one of the evangelical leaders decides to send a text message out to 59 people, and they are clearly promoting their views and clearly signaling where they think we should vote. And they signal their congregations, the hundreds of thousands, the millions of people who worship in their churches, who are a part of their network. They signal, and they hide their hand and say, we weren't a part of this.
Right. Did we get off Clubhouse? Is it gone?
Jeff?
Huh?
I'm not hearing you for some reason.
Can you hear me now?
Let me take you out and bring you back in. Can you say something?
Can you hear me?
I can't hear Jeff.
Hold on. Can you hear me now?
We don't need these anymore.
Can you hear me now?
I can't hear you now.
It says the host has unmuted.
Jeff, go ahead and go out and come back in.
Okay.
Go out and come back in, and I'll take a quick commercial break. For all of you joining us, thank you for joining us for Religiously Incorrect podcast. Thank you for joining us. I'm going to do a quick commercial break. I could not hear Jeff, Tiffany. I don't know what the problem was, so we're going to try to see if that was the same issue we've been having. I think it's a StreamYard glitch for those of you who might be watching. We thank our supporters, Phillips Care Training, who are the proud new owners of High Street Fitness at 277 South High Street in Cortland. They are running a special for the new year, so you can visit their Facebook page at High Street Fitness or call Mike at 330-984-7632. Again, that's 984-7632. If you live in the Mahoney Valley, if you live in Trumbull County or surrounding areas and you're looking for a great place to work out, check out High Street Fitness, which is a part of the Phillips Care family, in particular Phillips Care Training. Again, at 277 South High Street in Cortland. You can visit them and you can support our sponsors because our sponsors support us. So thank you very much, Phillips Care Cleaning, Phillips Care Training, and all of the entrepreneurs. And again, if you would like to be a sponsor of Religiously Incorrect Podcast, you can reach out to us via our Facebook page. You can email us. You can let us know you'd like to be a sponsor. We would love to promote your business to our wide and broad audience on Facebook and YouTube. And I guarantee that you will get some phone calls, some emails if you check us out and allow us to promote you on the show. So thank you again, Phillips Care, for being a part of the Religiously Incorrect Podcast. Going to bring Big Mike in, and I just want to hear from a non-pastor's thought process. What do you think about what you've seen, and what do you think about the religious response? You've heard me and Jeff talk from the black side about the white side. I'm sure you've seen some from the conservative evangelical side. What do you think?
Man, I don't know, man. It's really hard for me to put it into words because I'm in such disbelief that they didn't say anything. You know what I mean? It honestly surprised me at first that they even supported this guy when he was running, with his past and even his present, with the things he was doing, you know, during the presidency. To me, not godlike, not, you know, morally right at all, but they still backed this guy like he was the chosen one. That's the part that I was confused about.
Right.
You know, how you gonna say this guy is sent by God? And granted, he's man. We all have our shortcomings. I get it. I understand that, but it was just way too much for me from the jump. Now with this last situation, the thing that happened last week with this attempted coup, whatever you want to call it, I don't think it's over, man. I think they just laid out the blueprint and kind of figured some more things out for the next time. I mean, dude, they had bombs, they had guns, they had knives. You know, the one guy who was
pipe bombs, man, pipe bombs.
Yeah, and the one guy who was inside the Capitol building, he had the zip ties, the handcuff people.
Yeah, they were ready to detain people.
Yes, and they literally wanted to hang Mike Pence. They wanted to hang that dude. They was looking for him, asking for him. Where is he at? Where is he at? I don't think it's over. Me and the guy I work with, white guy, a little bit older than me, we was talking about it. And he was like, Mike, we should be scared. He said, you have to understand, these guys have been hunting since they were like 7-8 years old.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they know what they're doing, and they serious about this agenda. So I don't know. We just wait to see what happens. Yeah, yes, sir. I hear you, Jeff.
Yeah.
I hear you.
I'm in 100% agree with you, Mike. Yesterday I went and got my CCW, and the guy who I was talking to said a couple months ago was the biggest month for bullets and gun sales ever.
Oh yeah, yeah,
ever.
Tony said he couldn't get bullets down in Tennessee. Right. Our boy Tony, who lived down in Tennessee, he could not get bullets. He almost got in an argument with a brother at Walmart because the clerk sold. The guy stepped in front of him and got the last box of bullets he needed.
Wow.
It's insane. He said there were people literally buying them by the pallet, buying bullets by the pallet. So
I don't even want to see some of these people's arsenals, man. I mean,
no.
And And so, Jeff, what do you say to people who say, you know what, you are not promoting the right ideals. This is an opportunity for unity and prayer and love, and you just sound angry and upset, and you're making demands. What do you say to that from a religious pastoral standpoint?
I am angry. I am angry. I am angry. I am upset. I'm not happy. We cannot have unity if we're not unified. And if racism is not being talked about, it's not being put on the top shelf, it's not being even accepted as this is something that's going on, we cannot have unity. And yes, I'm angry. I'm angry because we are the ones still being racial profiled. We are the ones still dealing with redlining. We are the ones still being shot with rubber bullets. And I mean, 50 people arrested, 4 dead, only one of them by bullet. Come on. I mean,
Another officer died today, committed suicide.
Yeah, committed suicide. I saw that. That. Yes. And they don't know why that is. And I'm trying to figure out if he's the one who, I don't know. I don't want to speculate.
Yeah, you don't want to speculate, but either he suffered in some way, or he participated in some way, or he's might have on the verge of being outed.
Right.
I mean, it's going to come out in the wash sooner or later. To be honest, you have a right to be angry when people keep claiming. Think of a spouse who a person keeps claiming they'll change or they'll address issues, and they never do. But you better be in bed and cook my dinner and da. And that's what I feel like evangelicals do to Black people. They keep saying, you better come pray with us. You better be unified with us. You better speak the language, the soft side of life. But we are not. And by the way, even before this happened, they were not standing up for rights. They weren't holding Trump accountable for justice, civil rights. They weren't criticizing him for his response to Black Lives Matter. They didn't tell him that when he said things like, when the looting starts, the shooting starts, was not the thing to say. They would never stand up for us. And I got guys right now that if I called them and said, come be on my podcast, they wouldn't, because they don't want to be in this fire. They don't want to be in this fire, but they don't understand that just living in America is being in the fire for us.
Right.
They're almost as afraid. They're more afraid of actually having to face it than we are having to live it.
It's like, to me, it seems like two different realities.
Duality. That's what W.B. Du Bois called it.
It's two different realities, man.
Two different Americas.
Yeah.
It is. And like you said, though, it's the ones who are our skin color who are staying silent that's really making it, because those are the ones who are really, I mean, those are the ones when it comes down to these rallies and when it comes down to Martin Luther, they want us to speak at those events, at the Martin Luther King Day events, at the Emancipation Proclamation events. But outside of that, let's talk about that.
And I'll be honest, 2 years ago, there was talk of, African Americans need to stop attending evangelical churches. We are finding out how people really feel about us. I'll be honest, I can't help but side-eye any Black Christian who is still attending a conservative evangelical church at this point. I don't care who you are, how long you've been there. They are not. And if they are still giving the same speech about love and forgiveness and unity and pray for our nation, then I'm sorry, man. It's like we call somebody a fool for going back to the same dumb stuff, because it is what it is. It is what it is. And they cry over you only because they know you. Again, there's a difference between just you and the rest of us.
Uh-huh.
Do you care about the rest of us? If y'all got any comments out there in Facebook or YouTube land, once again, please subscribe to Religiously Incorrect Podcast on YouTube. We are still doing First Sundays. We had an excellent one last week with Bishop Kenneth Paramore. We'll be back. We'll be announcing our guests soon for February. We want you to subscribe, comment. Please give us your comments, your questions. We're not doing exactly rapid fire, but if you have a question, you can add it. Marlon has something great to say, Mike. He says, it's the same ones that hated MLK when he was alive, but now they want to invoke him every chance they get when it's about peace.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the crazy thing. They hated and beat down. Let me tell you why, Jeff, I feel justified in saying this is at the feet of the white evangelical church. Because they got behind the white senator in Georgia who ran Reverend Raphael Warnock through the mud and called him a socialist, extremist, radical extremist for, thank you, Marlon, literally quoting Dr. King in his sermons.
Mm-hmm.
But they knew that all they have to do is just use those phrases against him when they know full well that that is and always has been the Black prophetic expression of faith in our churches. We have always spoken out against militarism. We've always spoken out about systemic injustice. We have always had a duality, as Mike said, about even our commitment to America. How can you expect us not to? It's almost stupid of you to expect us not to. And when we have served just as much or more as any of you, we have laid down our lives in the army just to come home and not enjoy the same benefits, be spit on. My grandparents who served, they didn't even get the same GI Bill that the white soldiers got. But they literally called him the pastor of Martin Luther King Jr.'s former church, basically quoting Martin Luther King verbatim. So King is all right when you want him to be, even though he had a bunch of radical socialist stuff that they won't talk about. That goes to show me that they're only willing, that they don't really have respect for King, and that they're only actually even entertaining the reverence for King because we are so committed to him. And that if just 2 or 3 Black folk pulled back a little bit from King, they would run that dead Negro through the mud.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And to me, that duality you spoke of, Mike, you know, it makes me furious. And I have to say personally, I am as furious about what I see as my white brother might be about abortion. And he's furious about it, even though abortion was at its lowest point during Obama's presidency in 30 years. And thank you, Janetta. There's a time for everything and a season for every activity under heavens. It's not time for unity. It's because it's chaos. What unity does light have with darkness? It's time to fight for peace. And I appreciate it. And the silence in the church is a genuine, ugly situation that must be called out. And I'll be honest, Jeff, this is not something you just get over and move past because it didn't go anywhere.
Absolutely.
They're still in DC. They're still among us.
And let me just say, I know let me say this before we close, because this is religiously incorrect. So let me just bring it back biblically. If we remember, Zechariah was silenced.
Correct.
He was silenced. When did his mouth open? When he called what God called it. When he called the baby, what God called it. Correct. Until we start calling it what God called it.
That's a word.
When we start saying what God said about it, you know, you are going to continue to stay silent. You're going to continue to hide in the shadows. You're going to continue to hide behind Republican and the Democrat and all that stuff. The fact of the matter is, God called it sin. What the presidents say here? They want the government to do what they can.
Correct. Correct. They are in the same unholy alliance that the Jews were with the Romans, seeking political power and willing to give up their own. And again, are we picking? Yeah, yes, you're picking on who's wrong. You're picking on who's wrong. Because if at the last 2 weeks of Obama's presidency, if a bunch of Black folk were raiding Washington, D.C., they nuked the place.
Man, the motor's down, man.
And say, I told you so, and y'all Black folk followed him over a cliff.
Yeah.
And I mean, I know this sounds like a very contentious tent of two brothers, but honestly, we are expressing the feelings and many times the unspoken feelings of an entire group of people. And there's always somebody talking about, that's not me. I love all y'all. And listen, they better be glad ain't no MLK service this year. They better be glad ain't no MLK service. Because first of all, they dare not show up. And yes, I said it. You dare not show up. And secondly, if you do, if I gotta hijack the mic, I hijack it. Talk about it later.
I'm with you, Doc. I'm with you.
You know me. I'm half with Malcolm X anyway. I mean, if Jesus can turn over some tables, I can bring my own cordless mic and just start talking in the middle. I have a Bluetooth speaker. And by the way, speaking of, thank you, Pastor and President Harrison. Go ahead and put that up. The Martin Luther King Jr. Committee, and I forget all of the organization in Youngstown, so please forgive me. But President Michael Harrison, Reverend Dr. Michael Harrison of the Union Baptist Church, will be the speaker for the virtual celebration in the Youngstown area for their Martin Luther King Jr. celebration. You have to understand, there's a time for rage. There's a time for righteous anger, and we're there.
And let me just prop in my dad, President Harrison. He will talk.
He will talk.
Will not be silent.
He will speak to it.
Go ahead and watch it. He will talk. So,
and I will have his back. I will be right there. And
yes,
and you know, to everybody watching Religiously Incorrect, these are trying times. These are crazy times. We didn't have a guest on today because I think me and Pastor Jeff, and then bringing Big Mike in, we just have to talk about what's what. And there is never a good time or even a perfect way to talk about such an insane, crazy thing. This is insane. This is insanity. People literally climbing the walls. I saw one joke, speaking of jokes, Jeff. They said, well, Trump should finally realize that building walls don't work. That's literally climbing walls.
And I know I got upset about it, but it was one about Day and them being security at the
Oh yeah. I saw one with Super Mario Brothers music behind it when they fell off the wall. But man, I mean, honestly, this show is called Religiously Incorrect. This might have been the most religiously correct we've been all the entire series, because this is truth. And like I said, I'm going to release a statement that I've already said on Sunday and cropped and edited that will get some attention probably. Y'all can share it on the podcast page if you want to. I believe you have to lay blame where it needs to be laid, because you can't address a problem if you don't identify the problem. And the white conservative evangelical church is the problem that created the problem. They are the problem that created the problem.
Wow.
QAnon conspiracies. They're still calling Joe Biden a pedophile and talking about secret sex trafficking. It's insane, man.
Pizzagate.
Insane.
Come on, man.
They ain't even talking about policies anymore. They literally are not even talking about laws anymore.
Right.
That's how you know. They ain't said a daggone thing about a law. So I hope that people hear the hearts of these two black pastors, because you know what, man? Jeff and I, pastor people who have lived through some of the most horrific racial injustices you could ever imagine. I pastor people who lived through dogs being sicked on them and their family members. I pastor people.
And it's painful.
Painful. Because we're supposed to be the young hope. We're supposed to be preaching some new young hope.
It's painful. But to listen to it and to have them give you their testimonies and then to preach on it and to try to build a better tomorrow when tomorrow is becoming worse than yesterday is an overwhelming thing. But I think there are a few of us who are trying to do the best we can, and we're gonna keep on putting our boots to the ground, putting our feet to our faith, and trying to make a difference.
I just can't figure out for the life of me why they don't see it.
They don't want to, or they see it. They either don't want to. They're blind, man.
I just, for the life of me, I cannot figure that out. Like, how come you can't see this? I'm looking at it in black and white, and you don't see that. You don't see what's going on. You don't hear the rhetoric. You don't see the actions. How can you just?
They don't connect. They refuse to connect it to them. That's the problem. They refuse to connect it to. Let me be honest. Even just like black folk, even worldly black folk, worldly white folk. Let's say there are some people out there who don't even go to church. They still take their cues from church folk and church leaders. Absolutely. If black church leaders say something's all right, most of the time the general public says it's all right. And it's the same way. They are the fuel, because even just like black, white, same way, you still feel like you have this God thing going on, even when you're really not serving him, even when you're really not living a legitimate Christian life. And the white privilege of believing that God is on their side, that God is in this country, that God has birthed their rights and give them their liberties. They feel that even if they're not even an active Christian, that they're doing basically upholding God's country. And so if the people who are the church, if the people who are the evangelical church, and again, for those of you running around visiting these churches because they give a good word and put on a good show, believe me, at the end of the day, their primary message is America is God's land. America is Israel Jr. America is here to make sure the kingdom comes and the gospel spread. And so if that group of people says Trump is all right and refuse to speak up against what he's doing and those who follow him are doing, then those who are out there doing it feel justified. Who's gonna check me, boo? It's the white version of who gonna check me.
Superiority complex.
That's
superiority complex.
You just said it.
It's just as, I mean, if didn't nobody nothing show you the superiority complex is that white lady who literally was gonna take that young brother's iPhone.
Thank you.
Are you serious?
And then had the nerve to tell off Aunt Gail.
Yeah.
To argue with Aunt Gail about it.
Enough.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe her, man. Enough.
Enough, Gail. Gail, enough.
I was waiting for Gail to take off her earrings. It's like,
Here's what I'll say.
get the Vaseline. Like,
Yeah.
oh, who are you talking to?
Here's what I'll say. It's already gotten plenty because we got the president we deserved. We got the president we deserved out of Trump. They deserve Trump. Whatever else we get, this country deserves. You can't convince me otherwise. The Bible says you reap what you sow. Excuse me, you reap what you sow.
Here's the sad thing, Pastor Todd, and what's really sad is that, you know, we talked about a little bit earlier that, you know, Ahab called that drought for 3 years. What's sad is that, you know, when these type of things happen, we have to deal with it just as much as they do. We're, you know, that whole nation was in a drought. It wasn't just Ahab and
yeah, it wasn't just his palace, right?
Everybody was in a drought. You know, so we're dealing with a drought based upon what you done that could have been avoided.
Correct.
It didn't have to be this way.
Yep.
So, you know, so that's another reason why I'm an angry black pastor. So
let's be angry for a while, man. And listen, there's a lot of quiet ones out there, and they'll text us afterwards and say, I saw the show and whatever, and we love you too. But we need some of y'all black pastors to speak out too.
Absolutely.
Please, and Jeff, God help me if one of them called for another prayer meeting on the courthouse square. God help me.
You bringing your cordless?
Huh?
Bro, I'm bringing my cordless. I'm bringing my cordless. I ain't got nothing to say but repent.
Yeah.
Well, the kingdom of God is at hand.
All right, Jeff, we got 5 minutes. I already know who you got. You already know who I got. Let me just give you a score. I say it's going to be 27-17 Steelers.
Woo!
What was that?
27-17
Steelers.
I'm not counting them Browns out, man, because they hungry.
I'm going 17-10 Browns.
Ooh.
I'm going 17-10.
17-10 Browns. Okay. What do you got, Mike?
I say Pittsburgh by 3.
Pittsburgh by 3?
Yeah.
Okay. I think they might blow it off a mistake. I just think a mistake will blow it. It's not that I don't feel it'll be a close game. I think it'll be a close competitive game. I just feel that the Browns will make the mistake that blows it open. It will be close, but I just feel that the mistake will make it seem wider. That's me personally.
I'm hoping that Roethlisberger make the mistake. That's
right.
My,
I feel an old RoboCop might do it.
I hope we make a couple of them.
old RoboCop might do it. Hey, Jimmy Davis did make a comment. I want to read this comment out of respect because I know Jimmy from way back, and he is a minister and a pastor now. The one before that, he says the church I shepherd is very multicultural. I think that's what he meant to say. So would you encourage the folks of color to no longer attend because I'm a white pastor, or more so if I'm not willing to admit the problems within the church at large, which I very do admit? No, Jimmy, exactly what we said. For those people who refuse to admit and refuse to acknowledge, and if you are one of those ones, and you are obviously a part of the minority who are willing to strongly condemn and speak to those issues, doesn't mean you have to obsess yourself with it. In my opinion, you ain't got to preach every single week. You do not have to get up and go on Malcolm X on people. But if you were unwilling to speak to it, and they are counting on you for the word of God concerning that part of life just as much as every other part of life in the gospel, then I would say, yeah, they need to bounce. But if you are, admitting it, if you are speaking to it, if you are sharing your heart and God's heart and not just playing the softy role, I think that's the type of church a black person should. And I wish a few white folk would come up in here and hear what we got to say, because we preach more than this too. Y'all just don't be around. Y'all watch these sermons and y'all watch these statements and these shows. We be preaching about everything else too. Y'all don't come around. So I mean, come on, white folk.
Those are the ones they put on. They put on those when we Malcolm X-ish.
Yeah, they like angry stuff. Yeah,
like we don't preach on Mary the Virgin.
We know all that too. We know all that too. We just have to live extra. We got extra stuff to talk about, and I appreciate your love, Jimmy. I appreciate your commitment. I know you from way back, man, and I appreciate you and your love and your conversion. He's a converted soul. God has a powerful testimony in him. And so, Pastor Jeff, Big Mike, big shout out to Big L. I want y'all to look for us on Clubhouse. We're going to be doing some Clubhouse mini shows pretty soon. Be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube, even all of our Facebook viewers. Would you take a moment and go subscribe to YouTube and help us build up our YouTube audience? Ain't nothing wrong with being explicit about it. We're building a brand. If you love this show and you want to see it grow, then you help us out, spread the word, invite people on Facebook, but also subscribe on YouTube, because that's where we're putting it out at. Thank you all so much.
Check out the Phillips boys. Check out the Phillips boys, Mike and Fernando.
Phillips Training. What they got? What else they got? Phillips Pottery. They got Phillips
lingerie.
Phillips hairdressers. They do it all. Hey y'all, go Steelers. We'll see you after the game.
Please, sure.
Hit that.
Man.